Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In War of the Visions, just like with Kamiro and the light selection quests, let's do a brief preview of the unit Muraga, then talk about which units I used, and then think about if Muraga is worth the preparation and effort. However, I will say up front, the Earth selection quests were way harder than the light quests. I just beat them like 10 minutes ago and my hands are still shaking. It's been a while since I've had a hand-shaking experience with a game. Like in Monster Strike or Brave Exvius, when I would beat a very hard boss for the first time, that was that kind of situation. But here in War of the Visions, I never got that feeling from Tower because I knew I could always go back in with more guys or wait for a refresh. And then 3-star Esper fights, those are fun and challenging, but I don't feel like they're as high stakes as the selection quests, so this is great content. I think people that like the tactics aspect in particular are really going to enjoy these. But yeah, the Earth selection quests way harder than the light quests, and so I think for fewer people it's going to be a good idea to go into. The light quests, when they were released, there were no MR units, I think, that had the EX jobs available, just like Phoebe. And so they designed those quests to be easier, to be able to be beaten by those kind of weaker characters. But with these Earth quests, there were 4 MR or lower rarity units with EX job available, so they were more difficult to kind of scale with that. And I did have to EX job a lot of those guys, and so use a ton of materials. And so yeah, I would recommend the Earth quests to only the more kind of hardcore people. And then the light units, MR and lower rarity, they're kind of better and more usable overall than the Earth units. And then also Kamiro, he looks more useful and I would say maybe easier to use than Muraga. Muraga, I haven't used him yet, but he seems like a tricky character. Kamiro looks easier to use, and then also he has a purpose. He counters Hyper Helena. Muraga, I don't know who he counters. But yeah, let's talk about Muraga. Unlike Kamiro, he has a new main job, the King of the Barbarians, and so we'll look at all of his skills when we go into the board. And then subjobs, Paladin and Ninja. But let's look at his Trustmaster real quick. This is pretty insane, 200 attack on this axe. And then a bonus ability is AP up 25. And yeah, just like Orodua, he has a lot of AP at his disposal. And so if you look at his Paladin subjob, that means that he can use Attract Blade, maybe turn 1 if you wanted it. So that would make him easier to use than many other Paladins. And let's look at his resistances, got some Slash and Strike, a little bit of negative on magic. Nothing too amazing there. Alright, let's go to his board. Let's look at his King of the Barbarians skills. Alright, so here is an attack. 3 panels away, straight line. Will break barriers. That's very nice to have for a handout unit. Okay, here is a TP skill. For 3 turns, will raise his defense penetration, and then also raise his own defense and spirit, but then lower the efficacy of healing. That's kind of an interesting give and take ability here. But defense penetration, that's always great to have on an attacker, but to also raise his defense and spirit at the same time. That's really interesting. Let's see, here is a reaction ability. When he takes damage, for 3 turns his attack will go up, and then that can kind of layer on itself 3 times, so that could work with maybe his tanking. And let's see, here's a support ability. Max HP up, evade down, interesting. Okay, here is a short range AoE attack. This range, it looks very short, but being able to attack even just diagonally is more useful than you might expect. But small damage and then will drain, interesting. Drain the HP. Here's another TP skill. Will take away some of his own HP, but for 3 turns will raise his resistance 2 breaks. And I think at max this will get his resistance up to 100%. That's pretty insane. So if you think about it, you can't break his defense, or spirit, or agility, or element resistance, or attack type resistance, or like single target resistance, nothing. So this is a very interesting way to raise his defenses. It's different than like protect, or like slash resistance, or stuff like that. So very interesting kind of a tank ability. But there is a demerit here as well, along with the taking away own HP. There's a chance of giving himself berserk. So you might want to lower his faith down to 30 so that you can have a lower chance of getting the berserk. And then, yeah, maybe then you would not want to use like Orodoa's apron or the bells. But maybe that's okay, he has a lot of AP to work with. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, here's an attack, a little bit of range, that's kind of unusual for him. Medium damage, and then we'll give Man-Eater, so this would be a great skill for him. And then a main ability, so you don't have to worry about it being on his sub-job, that's good. Okay, there's a track blade, like I mentioned before. Okay, here's a spinning attack. Medium damage, will break magic, and then also cancel charging abilities, so that might be interesting against magic users. Okay, and then here's a Doton from the Ninja subjob. This is going to be his best ranged attack, so the Ninja subjob might be interesting for him. And then being a typeless attack means it can go through all resistances except for like defense, earth resistance, and then like single target resistance, so this might be a good attack for him. I have had good results with like EX Stern using Anton, and then you could build that up with like Earth attack up, or just vanilla attack up, so this could be an interesting attack for him. And then the job level 12 skill, super short range attack, but will raise slash resistance penetration, big damage, and then will cast slow, has a chance to cast slow on the target. So very interesting ability here, but you have to get close. But for Muraga, I think this is maybe more possible because he is a bruiser, possibly a tank. With hate generation, he'll be bringing guys towards him, so it might not be so difficult to use these short-range attacks with him. Alright, and then let's look at the EX job skills. This will buff the TP skill, raise the number of uses, and then also raise the amount of defense gained. This was this one here, raise defense penetration, and then own defense and spirit. Okay, for here, this will lower the AP cost of this attack here. This one costs 28, so that'll get cheaper, that's nice. Okay, and then the stat node for getting job level 25 is attack up, of course. And then this new attack, another straight line attack, medium damage, piercing. If he hits the third guy there, he'll hit everybody in between as well. And then has a chance to stun. I think thinking about how difficult the missions are going to be in order to get the last 200 Mind Spheres, I don't know if this would be worth going to 120 with him. I'm going to aim for 115, just like with Camiro. But yeah, that is how he is looking. Should be a tricky character, could be a fun character. But yeah, that is Muraga in a nutshell. Maybe when I get him to 115, and I use him a bit, and then he gets closer to global release, I'll do a proper review of him. Okay, next let's talk about the quests, and then let's also think about the units that I used. So there they are, the MR and lower rarity units, and then yeah, the ones that are leveled are the ones that I used. Mont, taking him to EX jobs is a must. He carried me pretty much every mission, so definitely want to take him to 120, I think. He was one of the main damage sources, and then him having a bunch of breaks and stuff was very helpful in a variety of places. And then on the last stage, there's a Kiton running around. Having the stone throw was very useful there. Drain Blade was also nice because I didn't have a ton of healing. Speaking of healing, I used Tsubayaki. I think she's another must. I don't know if you need to take her to 120, but I was very glad that I did. And of course now I regret putting her on the good tier of the EX job tier list. I knew I should have put her in best, and that's really where she belongs. But she can do everything. She can attack, she can heal, she can tank, she's got some breaks and stuff, so yeah, she's awesome. She's a great candidate for EX jobs. Next was Durando. He was okay. At 115, he did decent damage. He could survive decently well. I didn't use his Monk or Gunner sub-jobs, so I might have been missing something there, but yeah, he was a good damage source. He has that Drain Cyclone, so there's a little bit of sustainability. I think if I were to go back into the quests, it would be useful to use Muraga's axe with him, because he doesn't have a lot of TP skills, especially with main job Viking. And then I used Lorenzo. He was kind of difficult to use because he's only 99. He didn't survive very well. But maybe the best thing about him was the Blue Passion from his Lancer sub-job, which could break AP. That was useful on the last stage. But actually, maybe the last 3 or 4 stages where you're fighting Espers, if you can get rid of their AP, they just kind of freeze in place, and you kind of take them out of the battle. So AP breaks were really important in here. And then, although I didn't use him, Balo would be really good. He is a main job knight, so he has both TP and AP breaks. Just like in Tower, you can kind of disable the Espers, so they're sort of non-factors. So it would have been a good idea, actually, to have leveled him up. Maybe use him instead of Lorenzo, even. Okay, and then I also used Etua. She was good for status effects. Status effects were very important in the last stage because there's a Marlborough in there. You can kind of get around that by using some Trustmasters, like Ayaka's Trustmaster, and then there's also a mission on the last stage. No items allowed. So yeah, Etua can be good for that, and then also those Trustmasters. And then finally was Revile. I really regretted not leveling Revile, but a lot of the enemies that you fight are kind of weak to magic, and then also she has healing from Calculator and Cleric. And yeah, I was really low on healing, so I was very much relying on like drain attacks, and then also like picking up crystals and stuff. So yeah, that was a brief preview of Muraga, and then also an overview of the characters that I use. And then in the next few days, I will put up videos of my clears of stages 9 and 10, which were the most difficult. I don't know if I'm going to do a commentary for them or not, but I'll put them up in some kind of form. I still have to clear some missions. I have 100 Muraga Mind Spheres at the moment. I want another 100, so I can take him to level 115. But the rest of the missions are going to be so hard that it might be a better idea to just ignore them and just put Muraga in the barracks and get the last 200 Mind Spheres that way. But yes, sometime in April we're going to get the Wind selection quest, so I'm going to have to work on my team here for that. And I'm kind of regretting making my pledge to beat all of the selection quests because they take so much materials and they're so difficult, but they're also really, really fun, so hopefully I can do them all as they come out. Okay, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.